Hi, I'm Rob and this is Gems of War. In this video we're going to take a look in the Soulforge and I'm going to give you my opinion on what I think is good and bad in there. What's worth crafting and what's worth just completely ignoring. But first of all, like we do every Monday, always pop into the shop and make sure you grab the weekly event troop, Ostrix this one's called. Let's have a look. What does this thing do? Destroys a column, then gives armour to all allies boosted by yellow gems destroyed. If an ally is a mystic, also give them 3 magic. So yeah, pretty situational and something you're not going to use very often, but these things are always worth grabbing, and this one looks like it's there mainly for that chaotic wish, 10% chance to create a wish gem when my turn begins. And gain 1 magic when an ally casts a spell is going to be too slow to have any major effect, but yeah, might as well add it to the roster anyway because it's pretty much free. Only 300 glory to get one of these things. What I always do is, if you've got enough glory, is take this thing as high as you can, get it up to mythic. That means you've got another mythic troop to add to your kingdoms, which is going to aid your power levels eventually. While I'm there, I also go to Spoils of War, just get some free keys, why not, if you've got the glory. Okay, onto the Soulforge itself. So have a look, we'll start with the weapons first. All these ones at the bottom, apart from Nimbus Bow and Staff of Storms maybe, yep, are here all the time, like Heart of Xanathos, Dawnstone, Dawnbringer. These are all in previous videos, so there's no need to go over them, same as all these Curse Breaker weapons. That's only because I've got the Soulforge to level 20, so I'll go over all of those on a different day. So first of all, the Staff of Storms explodes a load of yellow gems, grants a random status effects to all Strix allies, then summons a Strix troop. Really, really good weapon. I love the explodey gems weapons. Uses red and purple, but something like this where it explodes all those yellow gems is going to just charge up so much of your team really, really fast. These are really good weapons. Absolutely love them. Has a summon as well, and you get to give a random status effect to all Strix allies. That's a great weapon. Absolutely love that. Same as Nimbus Bow, another fantastic weapon here. Deals damage to all enemies. Oh no, sorry, deals damage to an enemy boosted by Strix allies. That'd be way too good if it done damage to all enemies. Then create a mix of 6 blue and yellow gems for each Strix ally. So that is really good. Viable in some delves as well, and just a great weapon with a couple of finesse troops. And you can do some serious damage really, really quickly. But I love both Nimbus Bow and the Staff of Storms. They're both superb to me. All these other ones, like I say, are there all the time, but let's see what we've got near the top. Okay, just these 4. Light Sword. Deals damage to the first enemy, deals triple damage if they use purple. So, must be against the purple team to be effective. And just one of those collectible weapons, really. Not going to be that viable in many teams. Plume Staff. Deals damage to an enemy boosted by Suncrest allies, then create a mix of 6 yellow and purple gems for each Suncrest ally. So another one of these ones which are doing for each kingdom. These are okay. This one, Javelin of Suncrest, wonder where it's from. Remove all yellow gems, deal damage to an enemy boosted by gems removed. If the enemy is from Suncrest, deal double damage. So you have to be fighting this against a team from Suncrest to make it get the most out of it. So there's a lot of these similar ones coming out every week at the moment from each kingdom. And then Blade of Mourning, remove all purple gems, create yellow gems equal to purple gems removed, give a certain amount of life to an ally boosted by yellow gems now on the board. Alright, that's interesting. That's a nice little twist on that kind of thing. Shouldn't it be Blade of Life? And that is it. So, but the best ones here are undoubtedly the 2 near the bottom. Absolutely, without a doubt, the best 2 here are Nimbus Bow and Staff of Storms. I love both of those weapons. Now onto the troops. Darksmith Drenzer is only there because I've got the Soulforge to level 20 as the weapons. And Hatai Ascendant, Leonis Tower, and Rage Kundara, Xanathos are there all the time, so I'm not going to go over those again. They are in previous Soulforge review videos. Huanglong deals damage to all enemies. Then there are individual 50% chances to gain a good amount of attack, gain an extra turn, and gain barrier enchanted or blessed. So if you're lucky, all those things can happen at once. You could cast this, deal damage to all them enemies, have a good boost to your attack, get an extra turn, and get a barrier enchanted or blessed. So, but pretty random, but very, very good for that damage to all enemies. But yeah, quite a high mana cost for that, especially considering the randomness of the spell, because obviously those things may not work at all at the bottom. It may just be damage to all enemies. But if you feel lucky, worth a definite cast. But golden armor is pretty awesome. Reduced damage from skulls by 70%. That's really, really good. And Dragon King, give 3 magic to all dragon allies when matching 4 or more gems, is pretty decent too. Tina 9000. For me, absolutely one of the best troops in the game. Deals a random but still high amount of true damage to 3 random enemies, and gains a big bunch of armor at the same time. This thing can be absolutely devastating to teams, and when you see it on the opposition, it's often one of the troops you have to target straight away, because if it gets charged, it can just instant kill people, because that 3 hits could go on the same troop. It could just kill, like bang, 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 you're dead. And very devastating. Can be shut down by web. If you're fighting this thing, you can actually web it, and that does make its damage minimal, and that is the way to handle it. But otherwise, it's still a really, really great troop, and I love Tina. Absolutely one of the best troops in the game for me. The traits are pretty decent. Reduce damage from spells by 50% is really, really good. The amount of times I've cast a spell onto Tina expecting it to die, especially when I was an early player, and it didn't because of that 50% spell block. Really handy. And also add 50% of armor to skull damage is really as well, if you're brave enough to have her in first place, because if you can cast this, you're going to boost the armor and then increase that skull damage output at the same time. So a fantastic troop. Love Tina. Qian Yi deals heavy splash damage to an enemy and stuns all affected enemies, and deals double damage if his attack is greater. Then summons 1 to 3 monkey disciples as well. I tried this troop for a little while. I actually got on quite well with it. I really loved things like the halve enemy gem masteries. A 20% chance to dodge skull damage is okay, but that monkey magic, I really liked that. I used to run 2 of these at the same time in the team. So steal 2 magic from the first enemy at the start of my turn became steal 4 magic from the first enemy at the start of my turn. So I quite liked it. That can be good in some teams, but not that fast. Even though it's only 20 mana to charge up, you do have to cast it on the second or third troops down to get the most of that heavy splash damage. If you cast this at the first or last troop, obviously you're not going to get the full effect of that splash damage, as you are going to miss one opponent on that, because the splash damage affects the opponent either side of the one that you hit initially. So still a good troop, but not particularly fantastic. Zul'Goth Zanthos are here all the time. War, one of the earliest, if not the first mythic in the game. Burns all enemies and deals damage to an enemy boosted by his attack. Gain an extra turn if the enemy dies. Probably was good in its day, but it's been superseded now by far, far, far better troops. There's a power creep in this game, where obviously as new troops get added, they become slowly but incrementally more powerful, and War is like way, way left behind now. Even with that gain 3 attack at the start of each turn, it just takes too long to get his attack up to a decent rate. Reflects 24% of skull damage. Infernal armor is pretty decent, as is 50% chance to ignore armor with skull damage. But yeah, he's just been left behind and is no longer seen in many teams. Strawberry Born is here all the time. So that is the mythics. We'll just run over the legendaries ever so quickly. I'll never recommend crafting legendaries because they're going to pop up in chests a lot more than mythics will, so you're better off saving your diamonds for the mythics. But there's some handy troops here. Venoxia creates 9 green and 9 blue gems and deals true damage to all enemies. This works really, really well in true damage teams, and paired with someone like Queen Beatrix and things like that, can work really, really well. The traits are nothing particularly fantastic, but it's that true damage and the pairing with other true damage teams and troops, which makes Venoxia a pretty decent troop still. Shadow Dragon. Don't see it very much anymore. Poisons all enemies and deals true damage to a random enemy, then transforms all yellow gems to purple to boost the effect. So nothing fantastic about Shadow Dragon anymore. Queen Isabel, I actually really like her still, and actually paired with War, she's actually quite decent. What she does is deals damage to the first enemy equal to an ally's attack, then gives a decent amount of attack and armor to them, and then gives 3 to 8 armor to all allies other than myself. So her spell, for example, deal damage to the first enemy equal to an ally's attack. Now, War has got one of the single highest initial attacks in the game, I believe. So you cast Isabel onto him, if he's in first place, for example, and you boost his attack massively, which increases his spell output, as well as with that 50% chance to ignore armor with skull damage, makes for a decent little team there. War with Isabel does actually work really, really well, and I'd quite like Isabel, and I actually prefer Isabel overall to War. If I had to keep one troop or the other, and I could only literally keep one of them, I would keep Queen Isabel over War, but even though she's technically only meant to be a legendary. Garuda summons a firestorm and deals damage to all enemies, then gains 1 magic boosted by red gems. So good damage to all troop, and deals double skull damage versus Naga, is immune to burning and fairy fire, and allied Strix gain 5 life and attack, but don't see him much anymore. There are better troops again, but still a half decent legendary. But the actual pick of the bunch for me here is without a doubt Tina 9000. One of the best troops in the game. If you don't have her yet and you have the diamonds, just go out and get her. She's absolutely superb. Lovely troop to use, and a lot of fun too, especially when she manages to target the same opponent 2 or 3 times and wipes them out in one go, even if they were a really high level opponent. So Tina 9000 is my pick of the week from the troops, and in the weapons, hard to separate Nimbus Bow and Staff of Storms. I really like them both, but if I had to pick one, I don't know. I love them both. Nimbus Bow and Staff of Storms, they are both superb weapons. Can't go wrong with either. But I'd probably grab Nimbus Bow first, because there are other weapons that do the exploding gems effect. So there you go. There's my Soulforge review of this week. Check back later, because I'm going to do my teams for the World event, and that should be interesting. I'll have a look at that in a bit later on. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye for now.